Silence. London, December 1843. The fog is so thick it presses against the windows like a physical weight. In the streets, people are wrapped in rags, shivering around braziers, coughing into the damp air. It is freezing, it is miserable, and it is the perfect setting for a ghost story. I'm your Director of Studies, and today we're diving into a text that single-handedly redefined how we celebrate winter. Charles Dickens' A Christmas Carol. Wait, hold on. A ghost story? For Christmas? I mean, I know there are spirits in it, but isn't it meant to be a cosy, festive tale about turkeys and plum pudding? That is exactly the trap most people fall into. We see the Muppets or the animated films, and we think it's just a warm, fuzzy holiday special. But Dickens didn't write A Christmas Carol to make people feel cosy. He wrote it to make people feel incredibly uncomfortable. He called it a sledgehammer blow. In 1843, Britain was in the grip of the Industrial Revolution. Wealth was exploding, but so was horrific, grinding poverty. Children were working in factories, losing limbs in machinery. Families were starving in slums. Dickens had just visited the ragged schools, chaotic, freezing charity schools for the poorest, most neglected children in London. He was absolutely furious at the apathy of the rich. So he wanted to write a political pamphlet. Exactly. He originally planned an essay called An Appeal to the People of England on behalf of the poor man's child. But then he realised nobody reads political essays. If you want to change the world, you don't lecture people. You tell them a story. You scare them. You break their hearts. 2-second pause. And so, he created the ultimate villain of Victorian capitalism. He created Ebenezer Scrooge.
Malthusian in here. The idea that there are simply too many poor people and not enough food to go around.
Exactly. Malthus argued that poverty was nature's way of keeping the population in check. Giving to charity, he claimed, would only make the problem worse. This cold mathematical cruelty is exactly what Scrooge parrots in Stave 1. When the charity workers ask him for a donation, do you remember what he says?
He asks if the prisons and the workhouses are still open, and then he says if they would rather die, they had better do it and decrease the surplus population.
Surplus population. It's a terrifying phrase. To Scrooge, the poor aren't humans. They are numbers on a ledger, an inconvenience. And those workhouses he mentions? They were instituted by the 1834 Poor Law. They were designed to be deliberate torture. Families were separated, the food was gruel, the labour was backbreaking, and the whole point was to make the place so horrific that only the truly desperate would enter.
So, when Scrooge says they should go to the workhouses, he knows he's wishing misery upon them. He just doesn't care. Dickens says he's as solitary as an oyster.
Solitary as an oyster. A brilliantly complex simile. An oyster is closed off, hard, clamped shut at the bottom of the dark sea. But what sits inside an oyster?
A pearl.
A pearl. No matter how hardened Scrooge is, Dickens is hinting that there is something of value buried deep inside him. He just needs to be cracked open. To crack an oyster like Scrooge, you need a heavy tool. Enter Jacob Marley, Scrooge's dead business partner, doomed to wander the earth wearing a massive, heavy chain.
A chain made of cash boxes, keys, padlocks, ledgers, and heavy purses wrought in steel.
Exactly. It's pure visual symbolism. Marley spent his life forging a prison of greed, and now he wears it in death. He warns Scrooge that 3 spirits will visit him. Dickens isn't taking Scrooge on a sightseeing tour. He's dismantling him piece by piece. First, the ghost of Christmas past.
The past is about memory. The ghost shows Scrooge his lonely childhood, the boy left at school while everyone else went home.
To cure a man like Scrooge, Dickens first makes him feel his own pain. He wasn't born evil. He was neglected, and greed later cost him Belle. Then the ghost of Christmas Present. The spirit of abundance, generosity and empathy. This ghost takes him to the Cratchit household.
Bob Cratchit, Scrooge's overworked clerk, and Tiny Tim. This is where Scrooge finally sees the surplus population as real people, isn't it?
Exactly. Bob earns 15 bob a week, yet the family is rich in love. But the ghost of Christmas Present leaves Scrooge with something even more terrifying than Tim's illness. From beneath the robes of the ghost of Christmas Present, 2 hideous, starved children crawl out.
Yellow, meagre, ragged, scowling, wolfish.
Ignorance and want. They are man's creation, the monstrous offspring of Victorian society. And the ghost warns, beware them both. But most of all, beware this boy. For on his brow I see that written which is doom, unless the writing be erased.
So want is terrible, but ignorance, denying education and ignoring suffering, is what destroys society.
A very real fear in 1840s Europe. Dickens was sounding the alarm. Finally, the ghost of Christmas yet to come. A faceless phantom resembling the Grim Reaper.
Just a pointing finger.
The future has no voice. It only shows consequences. Indifference to Scrooge's death. Thieves stripping his rooms. Businessmen joking about his funeral. And the empty stool where Tiny Tim used to sit.
Oh, I am as light as a feather. I am as happy as an angel. I am as merry as a schoolboy.
It's Christmas morning. The oyster has finally cracked.
The transformation is complete. The weather has changed. The oppressive, suffocating fog of stave 1 is gone. The air is clear, bright and ringing with bells. Scrooge buys the prize turkey for the Cratchits, he gives to the charity collectors, he reconnects with his nephew Fred.
It's a great happy ending. But from a literature perspective, why does it matter so much? Is it just about one grumpy man getting nice?
Not at all. It is about the fundamental concept of redemption and free will. Malthus and the Victorian capitalists believed the poor were trapped by their nature, that society was rigid. Dickens vehemently disagreed. Scrooge's transformation proves that change is possible. If the worst, most miserly man in London can change his ways in a single night, then society can change too.
It's a message of hope, but also a massive call to action.
Precisely. Dickens is arguing for a social contract, the idea that we are not isolated individuals fighting for survival. In the words of Scrooge's nephew, Fred, we should think of other people as fellow passengers to the grave, and not another race of creatures bound on other journeys. We have a duty of care to one another. Dickens weaponised Christmas. He took a festival that was actually declining in popularity and injected it with this profound moral imperative. Charity, forgiveness, family. He didn't just write a ghost story. He practically invented the modern conscience of Christmas. So, when you are looking at A Christmas Carol, do not just write about a mean old man who gets scared by ghosts.
Write about a critique of capitalism. Write about Malthusian economics, the tragedy of the poor laws, and the terrifying personification of ignorance and want.
Write about time and trauma and the structural brilliance of using ghosts to force a psychological reckoning. And above all, write about Dickens' absolute, unshakable belief that humanity is capable of redemption. That it is never too late to strip away the chains we forge in life. The fog may be thick outside, but the fire inside can always be stoked. This video was brought to you by Director of Studies. If you enjoyed this content and want to dive deeper, we have other premium, in-depth content where we cover detailed themes, complex character breakdowns, and specific GCSE exam board requirements. Come and join us over on our website at directorofstudies.com. Until next time, keep reading and keep questioning. 2-second pause.